Hello everyone. Going to be working chiefly on this royal alder that has grown quite well over the last few months in the summer period. It's put on quite a bit of growth, as you can see. I wired it, if you remember. Unfortunately left the wire on a little bit too long, and it marked the bark, and even then hadn't actually held it in place, which was a bit of a shame, so I've had to rewire it. But I'm going to remove the wire now, and this tree is very flexible, so I can just actually tickle the wire off, as it were. Yeah, reduce, reuse, recycle. That was the thing I was trying to remember in the last video, and I could only remember the reuse and recycle bit. But yeah, reduce, reuse, recycle. So as you can see, it's quite a lax habit, and that's the term. All this new growth is very soft, which doesn't matter because I'm actually going to take the top off of this tree and hopefully induce some taper. So first of all, let's get rid of this cam, which is there just for size purposes, so you've got something that you can measure the tree up against. And let's see if we can't move this camera in just a little so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, for starters, I'm going to keep these curves, of course, but I'm going to shorten the tree down to this point. So I have a nice little side shoot pointing off in that direction. I love the shape of these leaves, so I'm going to try and take some cuttings from this. It's not something I have a lot of. I have quite a lot of the regular alder, as I will see in a minute. So I want to take a lot of these shoots off the lower part of the tree, because we've already got a bit of a bulge in this area. So I'm just going to pluck those off with my finger and thumb. They're coming away quite nicely. Let's put out a lot of shoots in that area. So I will try and root these in some water. Alders love water, so they should in fact root relatively readily. A bunch of weeds in the pot as well. We'll get rid of them before they get any bigger, and then they won't cause much of a nuisance. It's always better to get rid of them early doors, as they say. Okay, so we've shortened this tree and got rid of these mangy little shoots on the side, and I'm just now going to give it a haircut laterally. It's almost a little late in the season to be doing this, but provided winter doesn't set in early and very harsh, I think we'll be okay. The tree is very healthy, growing very well. There's certainly going to be plenty of cuttings material, that's for sure. Don't like this piece that's growing straight up from this branch here, so we'll just snip that off. Likewise, this piece here is growing on the inside of this curve, so we'll get rid of that. It's a shame because it would have been nice to have a bit of a back branch in this area somewhere, but another branch going straight up there. Okay, and I'm just going to trim those two back. Yeah, long way to go with this tree. But that's okay. Everything comes to he who waits, as they say. And what's that other thing? Oh yeah, Rome wasn't built in a day, etc, etc. I can afford to be a bit patient. Just wondering what to do with this particular branch, which is growing. Again, it's on the inside curve, so I'm going to get rid of it. Okay. Yeah, let's zoom back out again. And give you a bit of a 360 on the tree. Some of these branches will want wiring down, possibly do that next spring, rather than doing it right now. This one isn't too bad. This one bothers me, so I think I will wire that one. Would you believe it? I can't find that piece of wire that I took off the tree just 2 seconds ago. So I'll have to go and find another piece. Okay, well I haven't actually been anywhere. The moment I took the camera off, or turned the camera off, there it was. So, but I have noticed I got a bit of a bar branch thing going on just here. And this one's poking too far to the front as well, so I'm going to get rid of that. And then I'm just going to wire this branch just very loosely. And as I say, I will never win awards for my wiring. But as I don't show my trees in any sort of competitions or anything, only to you guys on YouTube, I can afford to get away with a bit of sloppy wiring, as long as it does the job. So just wiring that on not too tightly, and just give that a bit of movement laterally as well as downwards. Yeah, that's better. Okay, so yeah, that's it for this tree for now. I may do some further work on it once it's lost its leaves, ready for next spring. But it will stay in this pot, this training pot, for the next year, or possibly even 2 years, depending on how well it develops. Okay, so just taking a few cuttings. Alder being a plant, or a tree that loves to be on or near water. I'm going to try some in this sticky toffee pudding jar. And they're just literally just sitting in water, and I've just prepared the cuttings in the normal way, cutting below a leaf node, removing all the leaves, lower leaves, and half to 2/3 of the upper leaves, and then I'm just going to put that in a sheltered spot. And then I have some the compost I use for cuttings, which is 50% potting grit and 50% of the kitty litter that I use. Taking the cuttings in a similar way, but I shall just pop them into the compost. Excuse my shoulder. Just a little stick just to encourage them to go down inside. And even though it's not a particularly hot day, this is wilting quite quickly, so I'll try and get them in quite quickly. This one's going in better because it's a bit firmer. So, and again, I will put this in the shade house, which is just an old greenhouse frame covered in, well, it's actually the netting that builders use underneath scaffolding to catch any falling debris that might fall down and injure a member of the public. It got left behind by a builder at a workplace I worked at many years ago, after the place had had some work done, and when they hadn't come back and claimed it after 6 months, I said to my boss, can I take it on? He said, yeah, it's no good to us. So yeah, so that was good. And that's, you know, it's really tough stuff. Stands up to all sorts of winds and weathers. Yeah, it's designed to catch a house brick or a breeze block falling from height, so yeah, tough stuff. So anyway, you get the picture with that. I will carry on doing this and hopefully get 1 or 2 plants from it. Take 10 cuttings, 1 seedling, that's a 10% success rate. I'd hope to get a little bit better than that. But if in doubt, take lots. Worst thing that can happen is you have lots of plants and you maybe have to decide whether you want to keep them all, sell them on eBay, donate them to local clubs, or if you're a member of a club, or sell them at a car boot sale, or whatever the equivalent would be. Do Americans have car trunk sales like we have car boot sales? I don't know. But you know what I mean. Fundraising, whatever. Yeah, I think that's plenty. Okay, so yeah, this is a regular alder with the more commonly seen leaf form. Just pop the can back in for the sake of scale. This is a, well, it's, you know, not a very big tree. I've read on the internet and been told that you can't really do alder as small trees because the leaves are too big, and you know, in nature they do indeed have big leaves. We were in holiday in Yorkshire this last summer and saw some wonderful alders that were a good 10-15 meters high and had leaves as big as saucers, and we don't see that here in Somerset. I think the willows tend to outcompete the alders, so you'll quite often see alders growing in the shadow of a willows here in Somerset. And the alders, I think probably the biggest alder I've seen in Somerset is probably about the 3 meter mark. So in comparison, the ones in Yorkshire were huge and very pretty. I'm really pleased with this tree. It looks really nice in the winter time. It's got a great shape to the trunk, interesting roots. Just remove a couple of these leaves so you can see the trunk a bit better. Yeah, as I say, it's got some really nice movement, so I'm really happy with that one. And yeah, the leaves have come down in size quite considerably, and I just keep chopping it back, just trying to promote more and more ramification to build the crown. It won't, I don't ever plan it being on any bigger than this, and it's one of those trees that I look at and I think is one of my favourites. I look at some of the others and I think, that was my favourite, and another, and I think that was my favourite. So it's a sickness, what can I say? So let's just pop that one to one side and bring out a couple of others. These are, I think they're possibly 5-6 year old alders. This one's been, well, they started off as seeds, or seedlings rather, maybe 2 or 3 inches high. I bought them on a table in a nursery with a pot that was split, and it had a herbaceous plant in it that was looking a bit sickly. It was on the seconds table there, but it had a bunch of these seedlings in it as well, 5 or 6. And when I got it to the till, the lady said, "That looks so bad, you can have that if you want it." So I didn't even pay for it. So, but in 5 or 6 years, a couple of them died, but others have done quite well. So yeah, that's, pop that down by the can. You can see it's just a tiny little tree, but it's got some interesting movement in the trunk, growing some nice branch structures right now. A little bit lopsided because it's been facing one way on the bench, and I've got some long branch structures that I want to get rid of because they're just long and straight. But yeah, hopefully you can see that this has got the makings of a little tree at some point. A little broom, I think, a little broom tree. And I have another one which came from the same batch, and a little bit of judicious wiring when it was a seedling gave it this lovely curve, and it's got this really nice little nibari. And again, the leaves have come down really quite small. I have a few long ones. I did leaf prune this in middle of June, I think it was. But yeah, so don't let anyone say any particular species is bad for bonsai, because they can all be used to a certain extent. Okay, so here's one more alder, same sort of age, 4 or 5 years old. As you can see, it's pruned back a couple of times to get a bit of taper and movement in this trunk, and then this tree has been, well, completely ignored really, this last year or so. The top is looking very sickly and yellow, so I'm actually going to just remove that now. And that can allow this to be the new leader. Just tidy that up a bit more. Okay. Now the question is, do I prune this back hard now at the end of August, knowing it's only realistically got September beginning of October to recover, or do I leave it until spring and tackle it then? I think the answer to that is, let me just check how root bound it is. I've got no roots coming out of the bottom of the pot, but it is very, very root bound. So I'm going to leave this tree. I'm really going to struggle to get this pot off of this tree, so I am going to leave it until the spring when it can be cut out of the pot, and I think I will literally have to cut it out of the pot. Cooper, stop digging. Sorry. Yeah, I will literally have to dig it out of the pot, and then I can cut all this top part back. Okay, this alder, whereas the others had only ever been in pots, this alder was planted in the ground for a while, and suffered a little bit, and got a large piece of dead wood along the trunk line where something chopped at it or nibbled at it or did something to it way back in the fog of time, and it's got a big chop there. Let me see if I can zoom in. Okay. Okay, so yeah, we've got a big chop there, which, you know, people would tell you that the chop should be at the back. Sometimes the chop needs to go where the chop needs to go, and if you're like me and you don't mind your trees showing a few scars here and there, particularly deciduous trees, because that's what we see here. You know, in the UK, big old trees often have scars and blemishes, and I prefer that more natural style. So I'm just going to cut this back again. It hasn't been cut back for a little while, but I just want to, well, I've got these long straight growths. They're not that long, I know, but there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 buds there. I'm going to chop it back to an outward bud just there. And that's what I'll just keep continuing to do with this tree. It has got some wire on in this top branch, bringing this branch down to the side. So yes, this is definitely more in that tradition of a natural, lived it wild, lived it rough tree. Whether I'll keep this lower branch, I don't know. It has helped the tree grow with some vigour, and I may keep it. It's a little low though, so I think probably the answer will be it'll come off in the end. But I'm going to leave it on for a little while. It'll help thicken this part of the trunk, help heal this scar, and generally help with the vigour of the tree. So I'm just cutting back shoots as they're 2 or 3 centimetres long, with 3 or 4 buds, to a bud going in the direction that I want, and that's all I've been doing with this tree for the last few years. It has got a piece of wire on this branch here, just pulling this branch down into this position, giving it a bit of form, and I think, yeah, this branch has also had a piece of wire bringing it down slightly and giving it a bit of movement. So yeah, alder as bonsai, not a species you see a lot of, but I think they should be more popular. I think they are beautiful trees. They do like to be on the damp side, so they like plenty of water. They're quite hungry trees. They like plenty of food as well, so if you can give them that, you're away. So I know there's a few of you who always like to see Cooper, so you're about to see him get told off. Cooper, no digging. No digging. Go on, off you go. Anyway, he wants to get down in that corner. Have to persuade him not to. But anyway, yeah, that's all for now. So thank you all for watching, and as always, please take care of yourselves.